So good afternoon everyone and welcome to this afternoon's briefing. This is Tony Restel from Social Hire. I'm delighted that we're joined today by the team from Talentic who've arranged to put on for us a presentation on how to effectively market your job board business or equally relevant for recruitment businesses, how to ramp up the number of candidates, the number of clients that you have coming to your site and the engagement that you have with those people. So thrilled to be joined today by Keith Potts, founder of Talentic. Many of you will also know as the founder of JobSite, and Lindsay Stanton from Digi-Me. So I'm going to hand things over now to Keith. Great to have you on board this afternoon, Keith. Thanks ever so much for joining us. And I'll be picking in a little bit of time to talk to you specifically about social media. Over to you, Keith.
Excellent, thank you, Tony. Good afternoon. Sorry about those glitches. Lots of people online I can see from around the world. This is the second one in our Talentic webinar, so hopefully some of you got to see the first one there. Firstly, a bit about Talentic. We build scalable job board solutions for job board owners, media companies and recruiters. We're not just a software house. The exec team around us have spent about 21 years in the job board industry. We reached, in terms of traffic, we reached the number 5 slot in the world, 49 million unique users there. So we're not just a software house, we've also been a player ourselves. So that's why we've got Ivan Lendl there. We like to see ourselves, as a player coach. Talking a bit about today, there I am on the left, and there's Tony. I'll talk briefly about SEO, then I'm going to hand back to Tony. I'm sure some of you know. Those of you that don't know Tony, Tony's a graduate of Cambridge University. He's been a digital entrepreneur since 2000, and he's the founder of Social Hire, obviously the people that are hosting this platform today. We've also got, we're honoured to have Lindsay Stanton on board with us, who's the CEO of Digi-Me, and Lindsay's going to touch on video advertising within job boards to talk about the candidate engagement there. So I'll just kick off. I've got one slide before handing back to Tony, but I'll be talking now about SEO. Now, often candidate journeys start within search engines. Job board owners obviously would like the journey to start on their job boards, but candidates, a lot of candidates know that there's a good chance of finding lots more jobs or job opportunities within things like Bing and Google, etc. And the strategy really for SEO is all about really building landing pages, but not just building landing pages. They've got to be relevant to the content that you have within your recruitment site or job board, and most notably, the landing pages these days should really be dynamic. So if you've got mechanical engineering jobs on your job board, they should be landing pages that list those jobs if people type in mechanical engineering in Google. What we do is we craft what we think is the most optimized landing page for each long tail term, and then we make lots of them. And you can see companies like Indeed have been very successful with their landing page strategy. In fact, I think last time I looked, I think Indeed have something like 150 million landing pages indexed inside Google. So the key for anyone who wants similar success is to create landing pages with as many relevant long tail terms as possible for your particular content. What we've been doing lately at Talentic is providing a landing page builder for clients, and that's highly optimized. It creates the landing page automatically. You type in the terms that you need. But we've taken that now a step further. We've actually been writing Python scripts to automate the human process of filling that landing page builder in. So we've taken that to the level where we're generating possibly hundreds of thousands of pages every minute. And of course, again, it's key to cross-reference anything that you do in terms of building landing pages with your own data. Because, so for example, you know, you don't want to be building a landing page for rocket scientists in Ramsgate. It's just not relevant. So it's important to build, if you're going to robotically build these things, it's important to keep the content relevant to your own site. So your SEO strategy is vitally important, and we spend a lot of time working in this area. Now I'm going to hand back to Tony, who will give us a bit of insight into how and why social media can be used for further candidate attraction. So back to you, Tony.
Thanks ever so much, Keith. And really the idea of today's presentation is that we're going to give you a flavour of the various different approaches you could use to be driving a lot more traffic, be that candidate or client traffic, to your job board, to your recruitment business, and then hopefully field some of your questions at the end of the session. So if you've got particular questions there around SEO and how that's achieved, do fire those through on the question box, and we'll turn to those at the end. I'll just give you a brief flavour of social media, because for companies that have tapped into this properly and commercially, it can be one of the biggest sources of traffic to your website. Indeed, particularly for niche job boards and recruitment agencies, it can often be the single biggest source of traffic to your site. So if yours is a business that isn't you know, page one ranking of Google for all the terms you'd want it to be, one way of getting around that is obviously to work with a business like Keith's and get that side of things up and running. But another option is to actually take care of social media and make yourself less reliant on Google in the first place. So Keith, if you could just move us on to the next slide, please. So one of the things I wanted to get you fired up and excited about here is what is achievable with relatively limited resources. Now, this is a great site that used to exist called Topsy, which allows you to, or allowed you to, monitor the amount of social sharing that different websites were generating. Unfortunately, the business was bought by Apple, who subsequently decided to close it. So you're not able to go away from this call and try using this yourself. But this is a snapshot that we created for Social Hire. And we said, you know, as a business, we really need to be as visible on social media as some of the biggest brands that reach recruitment business owners, recruitment team heads, job board owners and the like, because that's essentially who our client base is. We run social media for those types of businesses and teams. And so what we said was, okay, what are the biggest brands out there? And we took ERE, who I'm sure many of you on the call will know, and we took LinkedIn's own talent blog, and we said, okay, if we want to be the best known people in this industry, we need to be having our content shared as much as they are to have that kind of level of visibility. And these are the stats that came out of that, and the orange line here is Social Hire, and then the blue line is ERE, and the green line is LinkedIn's talent blog. So you can see that, you know, within a year of really putting our mind to this, we got ourselves to a position where our content was being shared within that recruitment sector more than content from either of those two big brand names in the industry. So really exciting what can be achieved in any of your niche markets. You could probably take the mantle of being the most shared platform, the most shared job board, the most shared recruitment agency in your particular niche, and more visible than any other brands that operate in that same space. And we did that with between half and one full-time social media expert working on our accounts. So we're not talking here about needing a huge army of people to achieve this. So I hope that's got you, pretty excited. Keith, if I could ask you to move on, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how you would go about achieving this in your own business. And the first thing that's really critical to do is to think about social media as a sales funnel of sorts. You want to be thinking about what is the audience that you want to reach and what is the desired end outcome that you want from that audience. And it's different here. If you are trying to reach potential clients for your job board or your recruitment agency business, that probably requires a very different social media presence than if you're trying to reach out and attract as many candidates as possible. Whether you are trying to attract and generate more interest from your existing clients or candidates, that will require a very different strategy than if you're a new startup and you're trying to break into that industry for the very first time, and so you're focused on reaching new candidates and new clients in that space. So at the top of the funnel here, having thought about who it is we want our business to reach and ultimately what we would like them to be doing, obviously for each social site there is a total target audience that we could reach that could be interesting in terms of being client prospects or in terms of being candidates for our business. And that will vary from social media site to social media site. So that's going to be one influencer in terms of which sites you choose to be active on and which sites you don't bother with. What we then want to do is look at each stage in the social media sales funnel here and think about how we can tweak and optimize things. So if we just take Twitter as an example, if we've got a total target audience on there that we want to reach, how many of those people can we get as followers of our business? Because followers are people who are going to be exposed to our brand and to our messages and to links back to our website, day in, day out for the next years. So it's really the modern day equivalent of building an email marketing list that you're sending a newsletter to. And there's a lot that you can do to dramatically raise your conversion rate here. So if we think of 100 of your ideal candidates or 100 of your ideal client prospects coming to one of your social media pages for the first time, let's say they've landed on your Twitter page for the very first time, what percentage of those people are going to feel so compelled by what they find there that they click the follow button, they want to get your updates on an ongoing basis? Effectively, they subscribe to you. And the range of performance here is absolutely vast. So if you're doing a bad job of this, you're going to have less than a 1% conversion rate. So we're going to have to get 100 candidates to look at one of your profiles to stand a chance of even one of them clicking the button to follow you and get your updates thereafter. So that's obviously not a good starting point for building your social presence. At the other end of the spectrum, once your profiles are well established, and if you've done a really good job of making them compelling, making them interesting, you're going to have a conversion rate there that could top 40%. And so imagine two recruitment businesses, two job boards, where one of them has a 1% conversion rate and one of them has a 40% conversion rate. Well, you can see very quickly that the 40% conversion rate business is absolutely going to kill it on social media. They're going to be the ones that build the huge following, and ultimately they're going to be the ones that generate a large flow of candidate or client interest to their job board or to their recruitment business. So figuring out how to get more and more of the right people to choose to follow you is an absolutely key step. But that in itself isn't enough. If that's all we do, we just have lots of fans on Facebook, lots of followers on Twitter, lots of company followers on LinkedIn, but we haven't actually got lots more candidates and clients applying to jobs on our site or requesting a sales call with us or whatever it is we might want them to do. And to achieve that, we then need to figure out ways to engage with that target audience on social media. So, we're going to be looking for what kind of content we share generates conversations, sparks interest and engagement with the types of people that we want to be having conversations with. As an example, you put out a piece of content and lots of recruiters in your industry react to that. They reshare it, they comment on it. Well, at that point, you have a great opportunity to then have a conversation with them on social media and ultimately drive that conversation to the end idea that you want to see achieved on social media. So if, for example, your job board is using social media to drive potential client interest and clients requesting a call with you, then that would be the end goal that you're trying to get from social media. And you would experiment to see what kind of messages, what kind of interactions get the most potential clients out there hooked and saying that they want to have a call with you. So a really simple diagram, really simple concept really. You have several stages in your social media funnel, and each of those you're going to test, learn, test. You're going to A/B split test what you currently do against a new variant of that, and then you're over time going to optimize this so that every month we know we're getting the maximum number of new followers. We know we're generating as many conversations with those new followers as possible, and we know that we've got an offer that when we put it to them, be that join a webinar, be that sign up for a trial, be that have their resume critiqued, whatever it may be, that converts as much as possible. So that's the basic premise. Keith, if I could just ask you to move on again, please. So within that, and these will be my last points on social media, and then we'll move on to the next areas. But there's 4 steps that you need to follow at a sort of headline level to generate success on social media. And the first step is to really clearly define what is the audience that you're going after, past or current clients or candidates, and geographically where are they, what are their job titles, as much demographic information about them as possible, and what do you want those people to be doing. So it's not enough to just build a big presence on social media. We need to have end goals in mind. We need to know that we're trying to drive them to a certain page. Then once we've done that, we need to build social media profiles that are a magnet for the types of people you want to attract. And we do that by making sure we're sharing loads of insights, intelligence, reports, interviews, things that would be interesting to the type of candidates or the type of clients that you want to attract for your business. That's what gets you a really high converting social media page, one that quickly builds up lots of followers. Once you've done that, you then proactively want to get your profiles in front of as many people as possible. So there are different things you can do on each social site that get your company's social media profiles noticed, and you basically need to figure out what those things are, and then each and every day you need to be doing those things so that hundreds more candidates or clients are seeing your profile each week and then choosing to follow you and choosing to go into that social media funnel we looked at. And then last but not least, the 4th step is making sure you make time or you have budget to engage with that audience that you've been building up, or to run advertising campaigns that are targeted at certain portions of that audience to get them to take a particular course of action. So as an example of that, you might on your website look at everyone who has gone to the page on your site where they can upload their resume or their CV to your candidate database, but they haven't completed that step. They were interested, but they never went through with it. And you might want to run a retargeting campaign so that the next time they're on Facebook, the next time they're on Twitter, those individuals are reminded to come back to the site and take that last step. So that's where that last step is so important, taking the people that you have been building up as an audience on social media and then making sure you get as many conversions from them as possible, and indeed using social media to convert candidates and clients who come from other channels. So it could be that a candidate's arrived on your site from SEO or from some other route, but then it's social media advertising that's made them take that final step. So I hope I've not rambled on too long there, Keith, but that's a sort of summary overview of getting results from social media.
Thank you very much, Tony. Some useful insight there. I just want to now talk a bit about site optimization. A lot of people over the very many years have asked us what the secret sauce is, what's the magic dust, etc. I don't think there really is any magic dust. It's just hard work and doing lots of testing on the site, lots of bivariate, multivariate testing. And it's absolute key to do this. And I'm going to just run through a few examples of how this has worked for us in the past some of these. I mean, there's literally thousands of things you can do, but just to illustrate this, I'm just going to talk through a few. I think the first thing with any test is you're really trying to work out what it is that is your goal. You know, for example, what do you want the candidate to do on the site? So here's an example here of increasing email subscribers. This is on one of our sites, Allfinity. What we've done is Allfinity is a job search engine or aggregator for the oil and gas industry, and it redirects candidates off-site, and rather than them just leaving and potentially not coming back to our site, we put in this pop-up box, and pop-ups work really nicely. You need to design them nicely and design them to pop up at absolutely the right time. But we put this in just before they view the vacancy. We ask for their email address and their name, and as a result, our email subscribers increased by 200%. So that was a very useful thing that we did here. And again, I'm going to talk about personalization in a moment, but another thing that we've done is if we have the information through cookies, we know somebody's email address or whatever, and we're trying to invite them to subscribe for jobs by email, we auto-populate the text box there. So it's just little things like this that make things useful and easier for subscribers or candidates. This particular one increased our subscriptions by 65% overnight. We talk a lot about frictionless experience, and certainly there's a lot mentioned in the last webinar, but this is really what I mean there. Make it as easy as possible for the user to use the site. Another one here, if you could see, I'm not sure if anybody can see my mouse, this is the old page on the right, and we changed it to the page on the left here. What we're trying to do here is entice candidates to subscribe to email. We did used to have this box here on the left, on the right, which was kind of out of the way slightly. So what we've done is we put it in line. We've put it into the search results. So every 10 search results, you'll see the invite to subscribe to jobs by email, and that gave us a 72% increase in the subscribers. Just that particular initiative. Increasing application rates. There's a couple of things that we did here. We allowed the CV upload from the application form page. We've also we made the login and register a pop-up, which again, as I said, pop-ups work really well. Originally, again, it was just a box on the right, and we increased the application levels by 9% by using this technique. Another thing that we've done is, and you'll see this is quite popular, is putting similar jobs. Obviously, there's an algorithm that we have to identify similar content. So we're sort of personalizing the page, and as you can see on the right here, these are similar jobs to the jobs that the candidate was looking for. Not particularly the one this particular one, it could be, but we capture the data in terms of what the candidate's looking at. And here we talk about personalization. This is my last slide here. It's absolutely vital in our view that you should personalize the candidate journey. It's cost you a lot of money to get the candidates to the site, a lot of time and effort, obviously using social media or using Google adverts. And once you've got them there, it's very useful to personalize that journey. And what we're doing now is we've now put together an algorithm to display jobs that are relevant to what we think the candidate wants. So if you look for a mechanical engineering job on a page and you do a search, and then you come back to the home page, you know, instead of sort of job of the week and featured jobs that aren't relevant to that candidate, I think it's good if we can personalize even the homepage and just generally send content to those candidates that's much more relevant, so they'll only see mechanical engineering jobs. Okay, so that's what we've, it's really key to what we've done over the 21 years we've been working in this industry. Some hints there, I'd urge everybody to do your own bivariate testing. Things change over time, sites get old looking, ideas change, and it's best to keep up with the flow. And as your site changes, obviously you need to re-optimize. So bivariate testing is a lifelong exercise that's always been really useful. We made a lot of acquisitions of job boards in the past, and for all these hundreds or maybe thousands of optimizations we've done over time, we look towards replacing existing job board technology with our own. And what we've typically seen over the years is between a 4 to 9 times multiple in terms of candidate engagement. So that might be 4 times more applications made, or 4 times more CV resumes received, etc. So now I'm going to hand over to Lindsay Stanton, who's across the pond there in the USA, who's going to talk a little bit about more of how other ways to do candidate engagement using video ads. So Lindsay, hopefully you're there. I'll drive your slides. Just let me know when you want to. We're not obviously sitting in the same room, being across the Atlantic. So just let me know if you need to push the slides on a bit.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Over to you, Lindsay.
Well, thank you, and that was such a great lead-in, actually, to using digital job ads to enhance your descriptions. So many of the things that you both touched on really relate back. Social media, certainly, mobile, candidate engagement. We're seeing that candidates really learn and engage with the content so much deeper when they're watching a video and having that as part of the experience versus just reading the text. They're actually learning and retaining about 60% more information, which is leading to much better self-selection. So overall, it's increasing the conversion rate for applications, successful applications for both direct employers as well as our channel partners. So we're going to do a quick overview, and we're going to give a few different examples of kind of the key metrics associated with the video and how video job descriptions can enhance the job postings, both from a search engine optimization perspective as well as really kind of drilling down into where the best candidates are coming from. And it's interesting, across our client base, we're actually seeing about 70% of the traffic coming in through social sharing. So that is certainly an important piece, and the candidates are willing to kind of take ownership of the process and do a lot of that work themselves. If you want to go to the next one, okay. So a couple of the key areas of conversion that we see off of video. First of all, I think one of the things that you want to keep in mind with digital job descriptions is keep it short and sweet. So candidates are willing to watch about a 60-second piece when it's job specific. We see them trending up to about 3 minutes on more cultural type content that's specific to the employment brand. But you want to make sure that it's specific. You want to make sure there's a call to action. So the Apply Now button that exists on our digital job descriptions is really important, because the candidate can then complete that process as they normally would, which usually is them landing into the job requisition in the client's applicant tracking system. But it allows for you to drive better candidate flow to your sites. It allows the candidate to learn more about the organization and the position opening, and it keeps them on the site much longer. So we actually see the data and research shows that candidates will spend about 5 times longer on a website that contains video messaging versus just having standard text. We also see very strong connection between mobile response rates and video, because they can watch a video and quickly digest the information and respond to it. They're getting much better responses off of mobile. And certainly in certain regions of the world, we're seeing mobile trend even higher, and also certain job types. So anything logistics, manufacturing related, for instance, we see the majority of traffic coming in through mobile. And this will just be, hopefully the video will play embedded for you guys okay. This is just a quick snippet. So one of the things that is unique about our solution is it's very turnkey. So where we have a customized offering, we also offer a turnkey option where you can get a specific job customized instantly for your customers to load into their posting. And so the video posting actually goes live at the exact same time as the text posting, giving them all the benefits of the posting, having the video, like increased search engine optimization, increased social response rates, but without having to wait to create, a long, in-depth piece. So it is a very turnkey option, and certainly a nice opportunity to enhance your client's postings and provide a better experience for the candidate. And then we also offer two other products. So our cultural video is more about the candidate really understanding the organization behind the job. So that's a little bit more custom piece, usually around 2 minutes long, that gives them a really good feel for what it's going to be like to work for the organization. So a lot of organizations will actually tie that back to a CRM or database building tool to be able to pipeline for talent. It's also a great tool for companies to use if they're emailing out to a database of prospective candidates. We see the open and click-through rates on email blasts that contain video increasing from anywhere from 25 to 90% if it's a re-engagement campaign. So definitely has a huge impact. And then the candidate expectation video is probably addressing, I think, one of the #1 complaints about HR in general, and that's the candidates don't hear back from the recruiters. So this is really kind of setting expectations in regards to timing and next steps, so that they have a good understanding of what that's going to look like and realistic vision of when they're going to be able to hear back from a recruiter. I think this is really important. So one of the areas that we definitely see that organizations are benefiting from video is getting much better qualified candidates. So definitely a complaint that we hear from the folks that we work with, and I have the pleasure of working not only with Fortune 1000 clients that we work with, but also staffing, RPO, job boards, and certainly being able to get quality and qualified candidates to the position is a challenge for most organizations. So the video actually allows the candidate to really digest the critical elements of the position, and oftentimes actually forcing them to not apply if they're not a good fit. So ends up with much better qualified candidates coming through the applicant tracking system for the employer, which is obviously really important to successful hires. And then a couple interesting stats on this slide. I think in general, the amount of time people spend on video online, whether it's YouTube, Hulu, or even just watching videos on their cell phone on Facebook, is tremendous, and we're seeing it increase year over year. So it is a quick, easy way for people to digest content, and certainly our counterparts in marketing have been using it for a long time now. So being able to not only get people's attention to the position openings, but increasing conversion and really understanding where those conversions are coming from. So for instance, on our solution, we're able to track back all the activity by time and date stamp, by location. We know exactly when and where they viewed the job, when and where they applied for the position, and when and where they shared it, which increases conversion significantly. And since the videos can be embedded right into the landing page and the job description, that's increasing the conversion off of those specific pages. And part of that impact is actually due to search engine optimization. So one interesting fact that you may or may not know, video actually indexes 53 times higher than text alone on a Google search. So if somebody's just doing an organic search to keywords on Google to find a job, and that's where 80% of candidate flow is coming from, they're going to see video over text. So it's really important that we leverage that, and in order to maximize the traffic to your sites, this is a really great, easy, and inexpensive way to win the battle from a search engine optimization perspective. And this is just a quick video just to kind of show you, hopefully it'll play okay, but a couple different search examples. So if you type in keywords into Google, the videos will always outrank, and what's nice is people are much more likely to click through on a thumbnail, so that's going to help drive traffic as well. Just some different examples. So the videos can be embedded in pretty much any environment, whether it's a job posting, client applicant tracking system, and as I mentioned, they have an intuitive social share function, so you can see on some of the small thumbnails there on the screen, there's an easy way to push out, for the candidate to push out to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we'll see even for our clients that are hiring for very niche roles and have very specific targeted audiences that they're trying to reach, the LinkedIn discussion groups and the shareability of the video can be huge. So the videos might originate on, a specific website, whether it's the client's career site or a specific job board, but the candidates are really taking ownership and they're engaged with the video and they're sharing it out, which is leading to a deeper viral reach across the entire internet for clients to gain candidate flow. And one of the ways that we engage with the job board, so I did mention we can definitely build customized video content, which most organizations are surprised to see we're up and running with completely custom video in a week or less. But faster than that actually is our video library. So we have about 750 positions commonly represented across our client base that we built into a video library. We've also built customized video libraries for some of our channel partners specific to industries and verticals. And what's nice about this is it gives a custom feel for the client because they're able to customize the imagery, they're able to change the background colors, add logos, and pick the music they want. But within 30 minutes or less, so it's the time it takes for their text posting to go live, they've now embedded a video into their posting so that they're driving better traffic through search engine optimization. The videos are all mobile enabled, and they've got the social tracking feature enabled with the posting as well. So helps really to increase and leverage that posting even more throughout the web, and it's very turnkey, so they don't have to wait for it to be produced or created. And just to give you guys an example of the tracking metrics, so what's nice about and unique about our solution is we have built a proprietary video player that actually allows us to track the activity off of the video itself. So once the video does go viral beyond the initial posting, we're able to see exactly what websites the video is populating on, what sites are driving the highest number of views, what sites are driving the highest number of applies, and therefore leading to the best conversion ratios. And oftentimes within the top methods that candidates are applying for those positions is through their social share of the video. So being able to kind of get insight into what social sites the video is migrating to and the conversion off the original board that led to those social shares is huge in increasing the amount of ROI for a lot of our channel partners because they're able to show a much deeper reach than just the one website that the video was originally posted to. And this just gives you a drill down. This example is actually a client of ours who uses the video very heavily and has a lot of engagement off of mobile. And Craigslist here in the US is a very common website to pop up on their reports because they hire for a lot of driver roles. But you can see the level of detail, and actually on the breakdown report will even show them the time and date stamp and the location the candidate came in from and the time of day that they should be posting, so they know the best time of day to release their jobs out. So that's it for the digital aspect, and I'm sure there might be questions about information that I covered as well as others.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Thanks, Keith and Lindsay. Really, really interesting there. Please do feel free to use the question box over on the right-hand side. We've had some questions come through already. We've obviously looked at quite a number of areas today in terms of how you can drive clients and candidates to the website. So we started off talking about SEO and how you're going to want to have a landing page strategy to generate more page one rankings and generate more traffic through search engines. We looked at social media as a source of candidate and client interest, both through building an audience and then through using some of the clever advertising options that exist there. Then Keith's obviously talked about the importance of testing on your own website, so all the sorts of different elements of your site that you could tweak, improve, squeeze extra results and conversions from, and specifically also email opt-in rates and how to boost those. And then lastly, Lindsay's obviously looked at the huge role that video can have in terms of helping on a number of fronts, boosting conversions, increasing your Google rankings, and all sorts of other benefits. So between us, very happy to field questions on any and all of those, and any other questions you came to the call with. So Keith, there were a couple that came in relating to your part that were, can you talk about job alerts for emails, jobs by email, talk about best practices, frequency of sending those, how you go about keeping your list clean, and anything else that you think impacts the effectiveness of that?
That's a good question. It's horses for courses, really. A lot of clients look for a daily send of the jobs by email. One of the most important things is to choose some very robust technology that's the email technology that actually sends the emails out. What we're really trying to avoid here is getting the job alerts sent to the junk folder, and that's one of the major areas. Some clients are looking now at instant alerts. If you've got a lot of content, it might not be that applicable for you, but if you're in a real niche market, it could be that as the jobs trickle in, you can provide an instant alert that's quite taxing on search technology and matching technology, because you're almost wanting an instant indexing of jobs as they come in, and depending on how many candidates you've got in the database, it can be quite a challenge. I remember back in the days when we were even-based, we were sending millions and millions of emails per day. So it's, as I say, it's horses for courses. There's no particular best practice in terms of when to send out. It's just really down to what's good for your particular job board.
That's great, Keith. Thanks ever so much. A number of other questions come through. One from Faye is asking, what's the best way to get more followers on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? Do you have to pay for advertising, or are there other options? the answer to that is if you've got a social profile that converts well, so a lot of people are going to choose to like and follow you once they see the page, then clearly your main challenge is then to get your social media page seen by the right people. And certainly there are lots of options for doing that don't involve paying for advertising. Advertising is one effective way of doing that. But if you just take Twitter, for example, your company could join in tweet chats in your particular industry and get seen by hundreds and thousands of the right people in your sector, in just the space of an hour. You could follow, you could retweet people that you found on Twitter that are in your exact target demographic, and they're going to then get a notification that you've followed them or that you've retweeted them, and that's going to encourage them to look at your profile as well. So on each social site there are a variety of things you can do, some of which just require your time to do those things, and obviously knowing what those things are, whereas others, paying to have your account promoted to your target audience are obviously paid options. So there's things can be done there, provided you have either time or budget at your disposal. Others that come in, Lindsay, question here around video. I'm sure professional video or using a service like Digi-Me is best, but can you start off using an iPhone or something like that to put your toe in the water? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think the content matters so much as the platform. I mean, we definitely have seen that. I think having call to action, having trackability is really important. The content, quite frankly, is so new to job seekers. I think it's less important to have produced necessarily content, or you don't have to spend a lot of money against content. I mean, our videos start at a couple $100 a piece, so it's very affordable. But so it's not like you have to have a studio shot or a high production video. Don't worry about having to spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce something. But having the technology and the functionality is what's going to be really important, and certainly going to be what drives the ROI and can kind of prove the internal business case that it's successful and that you're getting a good reach out of it.
That's great, thanks. And Keith, there was a question asking if you were able to give an example of a long tail landing page, or if you can't bring one up on screen, perhaps talk through what the components of that would look like.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself there. It's normally just a skill along with or a job title along with something like a location. If you've got massive amounts of content, you can go to really tiny locations like villages, but really a mechanical engineer being the job title and location London, mechanical engineer Brighton, something like that would be a long tail.
Great. And what else we had? Question about whether your Twitter page can be used to target both candidates and clients. In an ideal world, you would focus on one or other of those being what you want to attract with your Twitter page. You might then appeal to the other side of the equation with some targeted advertising that's seen by those particular people. But if you think about, let's take an example and say you're a telecoms job board. Well, candidates for telecoms jobs are going to be interested in a certain set of things, whereas your hiring decision makers and your heads of recruitment in telecoms companies are going to be interested in very different things. And so what you would want to share on your social accounts, be that Twitter or anywhere else, would be different depending on whether you're going after candidates or after clients. And then the activities, the actions that you take to get your profiles seen by the right people, obviously you'd be targeting two different demographics there. So if you're trying to go after both, you're effectively diminishing the amount of time you're able to spend on either one. So there are ways that you can do that. You might have your Twitter page target candidates, for example, and then you might run Twitter adverts to be seen by the types of people that would be your client base, and that way you've used Twitter to reach both clients and candidates. But in terms of what the page itself looks like when someone goes to it, it would probably have either a candidate or a client focus to get best results. So just scanning through, I think that's all of our questions dealt with there, Keith and Lindsay. So thanks ever so much for your time. We're going to be compiling a recording of this that we'll be able to send out later in the week. If any of you have any follow-on questions, you're very welcome to email those through. You have contact details from the GoToWebinar instructions that were sent through. Thanks for everyone that's firing through messages of appreciation as well. Glad it's been helpful today. And Lindsay, Keith, thank you both very much for your time.
Thank
you, Tony. Thank you. Bye.
Tremendous. Bye for now. Have a great day, everyone.